Okay, we are going to be looking at how to format dates in MySQL. Now, by default, MySQL is going to be displaying date information as year, month, day. So it's going to do the 4-character year dash, then the month dash, then the day space, and then we'll do the hour, minute, seconds with colons separating them. So that is the default of how MySQL is going to be working internally. I'm not sure if you can override that. There might be a system setting to override that. I honestly don't know if that exists or not. But when you're using SQL itself, you do have a tremendous amount of control over how dates are going to be displayed. So we're going to be using a date format function. Now, we've already been seeing functions used in the course, like the count that we've been doing. That is a function. So we are going to introduce another function here called date format. And what this function is going to do, it's going to take in a date value and then a format mask. And this is some string information that tells MySQL how to display that date information. So it will take apart the components of that date and display it out for us in the way that we want to see it. The bottom bullet point here, I have an example of the date format function looking at May 15th on 2018. And that date format, that value there, the first value is going to be how MySQL is going to display it. And then it's going to display it as May 15, 2018. So that %M says display the month spelled out. The %D says the day of the month. And then finally, the %Y says the 4-character year. So that's how that is working. Now, the format mask values, you do have a lot of control over that. I'm not going to go through each one here, but you can see we can do numeric values, we can do microseconds, we can do hours in 0 to 23 or 0 to 12. A lot of control over here. I'll let you go through this. There's 2 pages here of different format values that we can use. And I gave you this so you can download this and print it off. So this will be in the course resources as a PDF. Okay, I've jumped over to MySQL Workbench, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the date format values. Now here, I'm just doing a select star from salaries, and we have a from date and to date. And if I come over here to the tables, salaries, just do info there and take a look at the columns. And we can see that it's a simple date value that's being used. So that's the date data type that we talked about previously. So this is just going to be a date value. It's not going to have a time component. So I'll close that and let's come back over here. And a trick that you can use when you're playing with MySQL is you can do a partial select statement. And this is a MySQL feature. Not all databases will support this. So if I come here and I run the statement, MySQL will still run that because we are doing a select, but we're not selecting from anything. But MySQL will still evaluate it and give us that output. So I'm giving here MySQL a date format for this date value, and it's going to output it as June 15th, 2017. Now let's go ahead and take a closer look and bring back up the salaries. And you can see here I just have the from date. And I'm going to rename that. So let's go ahead and run this now. So I'm giving it an alias. So that's the original value. Now I can say, now this portion of the code, the function name, that is actually case insensitive. But the mask is not. So I'm just going to copy this right over from above. And we can see that. And let's go ahead and run this now. And you can see how it's outputting that date there. And you can do things like you can add in a comma. So if we wanted to do that, we can add in that. And then again, remember, things are case sensitive inside this format string. So if I change that to lowercase m, we can see how it's now like that. So let's change this back. And I want to just show you a comparison here. And I'm going to just cut and paste that in. Call that version 2. And now I'm just changing the case. So I'm using a lowercase m and an uppercase d. Accidentally lost the percent. That's important to have there. Now if I run this, we'll get different date values. So you can see here I have the June spelled out where it's 06, and then I have the 26, comma, because I have a comma here, and I also have a comma here. So you can see how these different date formats are taking effect. Let's do one more here just to illustrate. So you can see I made some additional formatting changes. I had dashes in there, so we can see that take effect as well. So now we can see that we have something very similar, basically the reverse of the original. So you can see how we've applied the different date formats here in version 1, version 2, and version 3 using the column aliases. And also, I want to point out a shortcut. Here I'm saying as original. Here I just specified the column name that I want. So just a little shortcut. So either syntax is okay. You can do as alias or omit the as well. That is up to you. I personally like to use as. It does. I feel it makes the code a little bit more readable and showing your intention. But like you saw me just do, it's perfectly acceptable to admit that. Now I'm not going to go through each and every formatting value. There's a bunch of them there. But go ahead and experiment and see how the different formatting mask values affect how the date itself is being output to the screen.